All right, we are live, Taiwan.
Hey, Amanda.
Hey, hey.
How's it
So
going?
this, I'm excited to announce you to our audience here, and especially the ones that already gotten a ticket for our upcoming event coming April 28th, 29th, and 30th in Vegas.
Whoop,
We
whoop.
have the legend himself, the YouTube star, the owner of H2Hub and H2Minutes. This is Tywon Hubbard, who's
Hey,
been
nice
in the
to see
hydrogen
you.
space for a long time.
Yes, yeah, nearly a decade, and been educating about hydrogen all around the world for many years now. So it's a pleasure to be on this live with you, Amanda, and thank you for having me at your event. And I'm excited to be able to take people through the basics of H2.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to first start a little interview here with tell me your background. The audience wants to know how you heard about hydrogen water and where you're going in the future.
Yeah, so a long time ago, not that too long time ago, but I was a professional football player. My pursuit was athletics, and I was attempting to make it to the NFL. And along the way, I might as well show off a little bit. Along the way,
Yes, please. We'd love to hear it.
yeah, on the way, I got some championship rings and stuff like
Yeah.
that when I was doing that. So, but I was introduced to ionized or alkaline ionized water, and long story short, I started drinking some of it and I started feeling some of the effects, but I really couldn't get to the bottom of it. And I wanted to. I have a mind that wants to get to the bottom of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up learning that molecular hydrogen was the actual therapeutic agent of alkaline ionized water. And after that, I began to research molecular hydrogen. I just went to PubMed and started typing in molecular hydrogen, whatever disease model I could think of, and there was a ton of articles for me to read. So I continued to read and read and read, and read hundreds of articles until I became utterly convicted that I needed to tell the world about molecular hydrogen because no one else was doing so, especially those in the alkaline ionized water world, right? And so the water ionizer world. And so everything was being talked about, ORP, microcluster, everything else was being talked about besides molecular hydrogen or H2. And so I started to do that, and it was all she wrote. I started to get some notoriety, and people started catching my name. And I had some unique opportunities present themselves to me. And so I've been able to work for hydrogen companies corporately and own my own hydrogen company and work with investors and do all kinds of different things in the hydrogen industry until I owned my own company where I wanted to educate and take all of my experience that I've gained and all my knowledge that I gained and actually help the world with hydrogen. And so I started to do that through my YouTube channel, H2Minutes. And so that's basically where I teach about all things H2 through short videos, and I unpacked it, all kind of aspects of molecular hydrogen, as well as it all being research based. And then I started my company, H2HUBB, which was really birthed out of a necessity. Because once you teach about hydrogen long enough, people want it. And so I needed to figure out a way to objectively help those people find the right hydrogen products, as well as provide a place online where they can actually get credible information that wasn't just scientific articles. So, and that's what H2HUBB was birthed out of. And so H2HUBB basically is a consulting company, and H2Minutes is my online, YouTube platform where I teach about hydrogen, and it's all there for free.
Awesome. And I know one of our devices just went through you and you looked it over and you said, yeah, we got the green light.
Yes, yeah. Your H2 inhalation system, and as well as attachments went through our testing, and yes, you passed with flying colors. So your test went well. We actually have a report on it, and if you want to, man, you can actually put that report on your website too, so your reps can actually look at it and see what H2HUBB actually tested your product at.
That's a great. Thank you so much for that. One thing I really love about your videos on YouTube is they're scientific, but they're so easy. You break the science down so anybody can understand about the hydrogen.
Yep, that's on my shirt. Hydrogen made easy.
Right.
Yeah, and mind you, that is a complicated thing to do. I know not everyone wakes up every day and says, "Ooh, what I want to read is medical studies." But that's what I do, and then you have to figure out how to translate. And so for the masses, for everybody in the world, for they're not doing that. They're not reading medical studies. So I have to figure out a way to translate this. And so that's what we do with H2Minutes, is figure out how to make hydrogen easy. And we try to unpack it. Sometimes we can do it. Some videos or topics or concepts, it's easier than others to do that. Other ones are just tough. So basically, if you go and watch our H2 for the Brain series, sorry, the brain is the most complex thing probably in the universe. So it was really difficult to try to make that one simple, but we do that on a lot of videos, just bring it down to the earth.
Excellent. So for those of you that are live with us right now, make sure that you are commenting, because it was Monday with Bill Banta, Jamie, who's here, she won 2 tickets to the event.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll do the same thing here. We're going to give out some tickets, but you got to be asking questions in the chat, because we'll allow just a few minutes at the end here to ask any questions. So make sure if you want to win, you got to do that.
Cool.
Yes. Okay, so there's been a lot of confusion in the marketplace against alkaline, ionized water, hydrogen water. Can you just tell us the difference between the two if you were going to explain it to somebody?
Yes. So basically, alkaline ionized water is a form of hydrogen water, and it's produced with a specific type of electrolysis that allows for the hydrogen water to end up being a alkaline pH. But hydrogen water in general, as a general understanding, is ordinary water with hydrogen gas dissolved into it. But considering how alkaline ionized water is made and the devices that actually produce it, there are certain limitations for dissolving hydrogen gas in water using that particular technology. And so basically, it's very important to ensure that you're actually getting therapeutic levels with that technology, because that technology was really designed for producing alkaline water. It really wasn't designed for producing hydrogen-rich water with a therapeutic concentration of hydrogen in it.
Now that we know now, but we didn't know back then, the research is clear now. If someone's trying to look at both technologies, like, hey, which one should we get here? Clearly, which one would you suggest that they go with?
Yeah, I would absolutely say go with the newer technology that's out there, the PM or HIM, hydrogen infusion machine technology that's out there. It basically reduces or minimizes all of the limitations of alkaline ionized water, or basically water ionizers. And basically it has all the upsides that technology does not. So and basically you can produce therapeutic concentrations of hydrogen in water, and it can produce it consistently, and it's not contingent upon the source water conditions. So no TDS or any of that type of stuff that needs to be there when it comes to water ionizers. And so absolutely get you a hydrogen infusion machine over a alkaline ionized water or water ionizer for that particular type of hydrogen water.
Excellent. Dissolved hydrogen, undissolved hydrogen. Can you explain kind of the difference there and how the technology works inside if you compare them two together?
Yes. So basically, undissolved hydrogen gas is basically any hydrogen gas you can see when you put the glass up and you see the bubbles, then you know it's not dissolved into the water. Dissolved hydrogen gas exists in nanobubble form and is invisible to the naked eye. And this is the hydrogen gas that's going to go into your body and induce therapeutic effects. And so it's very important that you know the concentration of that dissolved hydrogen gas that's in water, because that's how we are going to get the benefits of it. But with, let's say, a water ionizer, you can produce a lot of visible bubbles, but you can also have undetectable levels with that technology, depending on several different factors, whether it's scaling in the cell or whatever. So it's very important that you basically understand the difference between visible bubbles and dissolved hydrogen gas, and understand that when it comes to different technologies, for producing hydrogen-rich water, that you understand the pros and cons to each one. So, for example, an HIM system, a hydrogen infusion machine, is probably going to have some type of dissolver technology. So it's actually going to produce hydrogen gas by a electrolytic cell that uses a PM membrane, and then it's going to dissolve that gas into water via some kind of dissolver, whether that is vortexing or whether that's a passive dissolver that forces the gas through very small pores, or whatever. There's multiple different type of technologies that are out there that they're using to dissolve hydrogen gas in water, because it doesn't like to dissolve in water. And that's going to be able to allow the H2 concentrations to be higher and for you to produce it more consistently. Well, a water ionizer relies on turbulence, basically water flowing through the actual electrolytic cell and just grabbing hydrogen off the plate, and doesn't have any actual additional dissolver technology within it. And so water turbulence is probably the worst technology that there is for trying to dissolve hydrogen gas into water, because there's nothing else besides just water running over the plates. And so hydrogen being a neutral molecule or nonpolar molecule means that it doesn't like to actually dissolve into water. It's not like sugar. You put sugar in there, you stir it up and it disappears because it actually likes to dissolve in water. Hydrogen does not. And so this is why, because it has low solubility in water. So any additional help that you can help hydrogen do that, the better. And there are other newer technologies that are out there that actually do that more efficiently than, let's say, a standard conventional water ionizer.
Okay, so from the past, there's the lighter test where you put the lighter up and you hear the crackling. So that would be undissolved hydrogen then.
Undissolved hydrogen gas, yes. That hydrogen is escaping through the tube and going into the atmosphere. It's not going into your body. And dissolved hydrogen gas would be, like I said, would be the gas that's dissolved into the water, and you would not know that it was there otherwise unless you test for it, because it would look like normal ordinary water. The most pristine hydrogen water that you could ever have would show no bubbles because all of it would be dissolved.
Okay, so that brings me a question. You have the hydrogen sports bottle that we carry, and yes, you obviously love it. So when you turn that on, you see the bubbles.
Yes. Yep. Yes. So they're actually seeing the hydrogen gas production. And so you're seeing that the electrolytic cell is producing hydrogen gas. So that's cool. But when it turns off, there's no more bubbles. So you basically pop the bottle open, you pour it in. And so once you're seeing that production go, basically the production of the hydrogen is going to build up pressure within the bottle, and hydrogen is going to continue to dissolve into the water. And under that pressure, you're going to be able to actually produce a higher dissolved hydrogen concentration above normal atmospheric pressure. So basically, hydrogen saturation point and normal atmospheric pressure are just sitting on your countertop. Is about 1.57 or basically 1.6 milligrams per liter, 1.6 ppm. That is hydrogen saturation point. That's the maximum amount you can dissolve under normal atmospheric pressure. But your little bottle can actually build pressure and dissolve hydrogen above that point. And so you can actually get H2 levels as high as 5 milligrams per liter or ppm in that little bottle, which is pretty fantastic.
I love it. It's so cool. I love traveling with it too, Hydrogen on the go all the time.
Yeah, no, it's pretty convenient. Any way you can make life a little more convenient for people, the better.
Yes. And you did a really cool YouTube video. I haven't watched all of it, but I watched the first beginning of it about diseases and hydrogen. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about that video? And we'll put the link below too. They can watch that. And you can also subscribe to Tywon's YouTube channel as well.
Yes. Yeah, my YouTube channel. Yes. So we put out a video that just got released today. And that video is on hydrogen and preventing diseases, or disease prevention. And it's one of the areas that are talked about a ton within the scientific literature, but it's rarely talked about in the marketplace or, amongst people. And it's probably one of the most important aspects of hydrogen therapy that there is, the benefit, because there's a large number of people that are not sick, that don't have anything. And so they say, okay, well, if I'm not sick and I don't have anything, then why do I need hydrogen? And well, you don't have something yet. is the point. And in that video, we go through the scientific literature and show that hydrogen can actually prevent diseases. But not only that, we actually cover a really unique, cool article that was produced on hydrogen that was published, I believe, last year. And it was talked about hydrogen for pre-symptomatic diseases. So basically, there's a state in which we can actually be developing a disease within our body, but it has no symptoms. We don't We actually don't feel its effects, and we don't know it's developing. And so a idea of this, or a particular one, would be like diabetes. A person can be developing diabetes without them knowing it, or actually knowing that they're actually having any kind of symptoms. Well, our modern medicine is really based off of symptoms. You identify a symptom, and then you can actually, from that symptom, perform tests to actually see if there's something going on within the body, to actually know if you're actually having a disease. But what happens if you don't have any symptoms? Right. Well, you're SOL with our with our modern medicine, the way we handle it. But the article goes through and talk about how hydrogen indiscriminately can prevent a multitude of different diseases in this pre-symptomatic disease state. There's really nothing we can do about this pre-symptomatic disease state because we don't know what's happening. But if you can take an agent like hydrogen that actually reduces oxidative stress, reduces inflammation, has anti-cellular death effects, has anti-diabetic effects, has a whole, like, the list goes on, you can effectively be preemptive in preventing diseases. And the article goes through and basically says hydrogen is the stuff. You need to be on hydrogen, whether or not you're healthy or whether you're sick. We all are on this pathway of aging. We all deal with oxidative stress, and we all deal with inflammation. And oxidative stress and inflammation are at the core, the root cause of virtually all diseases. So hydrogen, being wonderful at what it does with reducing those things and suppressing that. Basically, I go through that and I basically unpack it, and I give some of the real highlights of that article, and basically tell people how hydrogen is a awesome preventative strategy when it comes to preventing diseases, based on the literature, the scientific literature right now. Obviously, we need more studies, and I will say that more studies. But what we have right now is pretty remarkable when it comes to preventing diseases.
Yeah, I think the hardest part for people is we tend to wait until our pain's great enough for change. We get diabetes, we get cancer, whatever it might be. And then we're like, oh, that's right, the hydrogen water. They were trying to sell me that, but I didn't want to spend the money then. But now I'm desperate. I need it no matter what it costs. And so I think if just more people took that approach, like preventative healthcare. I mean, would you rather drink water that's going to not give you a therapeutic benefit, or would you rather drink water that's going to help your body?
Right,
so,
right, exactly. I think, like they say, prevention is better than cure, right? So it's like, if you can prevent a disease, it's far better than actually trying to treat the disease. And so hydrogen, like I said, is one of the areas that's talked about so much in the studies, but like I said, it's rarely talked about when it comes to people talking about hydrogen water. Is generally dealing with some kind of disease model, and disease model in particular for sick people or people who are going through health challenges, instead of the actual general healthy population. And hydrogen is for everyone. Hydrogen is pretty, I mean, I don't even know how I can express how much it's for everyone. Literally 90% of the observable universe, when you count by atoms, is made up of hydrogen. Let's do this. Let's say 10% of the human body by mass is made up of hydrogen, right? But if you actually did it by the number of atoms, 62 to 63% of the atoms that make up the human body are hydrogen.
Wow, that's
so hydrogen holds our actual DNA together through hydrogen bonds.
Wow.
So this is why our DNA has the double helix structure, is because of hydrogen bonds. Acid-based chemistry is based on hydrogen. So it's just, there's so many different things revolving around hydrogen. When it comes to, all of existence wouldn't happen, wouldn't be here if it wasn't for hydrogen. And so it only makes sense that if hydrogen is this important, then when it comes to the known world, that it would probably have an impact on our bodies. And so now, we're going to unpack more of some of these details at the actual event, because I was actually speaking of several different forms of hydrogen, because the one we're actually interested in, the one that we drink, is hydrogen gas. And so, but there's multiple different forms of hydrogen. There's 4 forms of hydrogen, not including its isotopes and stuff like that. And so they all have their different parts to play, but the one we're actually interested in is molecular hydrogen, or hydrogen gas. And that's what we drink in the water, and that's what we breathe when we put on the cannula.
Yeah, so cool. I do see some messages coming in here, so let's go down the questions.
Cool.
All right, let's see here. Hi, Julie. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Callie. Okay, Callie said, how would you say is the most simple way to explain that there are different kinds of hydrogen to someone who's confused when you tell them about hydrogen water?
Ooh, that one's an interesting question. I think one of the easiest ways to try to get across to people that there's more than one form of hydrogen. It might actually be to start off with where they're at. And so if they understand, okay, if hydrogen water has, they're like, oh, well, water already has hydrogen in it. So that's a scam. You're like, okay, well, then you understand that. You understand that hydrogen's already in water. Okay, well, you know that actual form of hydrogen that's actually connected to water is a hydrogen atom. It's bound to the hydrogen. I mean, it's bound to the oxygen that forms a water molecule. So there's that form. But if you actually had that atom that's connected to the water molecule, if you popped it off and you actually just had another one, you put them together, that makes hydrogen gas. 2 hydrogen atoms make hydrogen gas. Well, hydrogen gas is what we're talking about. We're talking about this form of hydrogen is free. It's a gas. You can breathe it, and it can actually be dissolved into water. And so, although you understand the fact of the matter is that oxygen makes up water as well, but did you know that oxygen is dissolved into water? Oxygen gas from the atmosphere. So we know the gases can be dissolved into water. Similarly, you drink soda, right? Or you like soda. Well, soda has carbon dioxide gas dissolved into the water and gives us its characteristics. So I would just walk people simply through it. And once their brain follows and connects the dots, then they'll have it. Like they'll get it. But one of the challenges is understanding the content enough yourself that you can walk them through it. And so this is why I think it's important to watch H2Minutes. This is why I think it's important to take the Molecular Hydrogen Institute's courses, like so that you can actually understand the fundamentals or the basics, so you can walk a person through that little bit. And once they understand the concept, because they already understand the concept. I mean, they understand soda. It has something in it that makes it fizzy. That's a gas. So they understand if you can bring them to that place, then you can just basically exchange it for hydrogen. I mean, exchange it for hydrogen water. Just plug out soda and plug in hydrogen water, and then they'll have it.
And they do make water, or it's maybe not water, the little cans of hydrogen that is like green tea, it's bubbly. So they're doing that.
Yeah, no. And I think that, I just think that that's one of the simplest ways to go about it. I do think you have to have a basis of information, and you have to find some common ground or some place where they understand it, some place of commonality of an understanding, so they can actually you can bridge the gap. So I think the basic thing you have to do is form a bridge with the basic information so that you can bridge that gap. And once you bridge the gap, then basically they'll have it. They'll basically understand it. Then you have other bridges you got to form of how gas can actually benefit the body. And so then you can go from that point and say, okay, well, cool. You convinced me that there's a gas in the water, but how's it going to be good for me? They say, okay, well, cool. Well, you breathe the gas every day, right? You breathe oxygen.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold your breath for about 60 seconds and see how bad your body wants to breathe. We know that oxygen is beneficial for us, and without it, we wouldn't have cellular respiration or ATP or energy, any of those things. And so now you can start bridging that gap, that oxygen is important. Well, now we're finding out the other gases are important.
Yeah, I love it. That's very smart. So thank you. Thank you, Kelly, for that question. Next is from Lucy Moore. My home has a osmosis water filtration system. Can I use hydrogen water machine with that system, or it will be more beneficial to remove the system from her house?
It depends on the system.
You got a system, Lucy.
Yeah, it depends on the system. I would say with the hydrogen infusion machine, you have no problems because that technology utilizes something what's called a proton exchange membrane. And so basically this membrane allows you to be able to produce hydrogen-rich water with any source water conditions, whether it's distilled water, RO, mineral-rich water, whatever source water conditions. It will produce hydrogen gas because the membrane itself acts as the conductant, or basically it's conductive. And so you don't have to rely on any of the electrolytes in the water to actually produce hydrogen gas. And so I would say with the hydrogen infusion machine, you can absolutely produce hydrogen water with the RO system.
And then if it's obviously like a older technology, the alkaline ionizer water, Lucy, probably not so much because you need those minerals, correct, Tywon?
Correct. With like a standard or conventional water ionizer, you'll probably need at least about 80 TDS, so total dissolved solids, to really be able to produce hydrogen gas and enough to actually dissolve it into water. Dissolve it into water to a therapeutic concentration, something like 0.5 ppm.
Great. Cool. So what else do we have? We have Julie. Okay, Julie says, Tywon, what led you to start learning about and eventually educating people about hydrogen? We kind of talked a little bit about this at the beginning, but if you want to just elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, so basically, let me see. The biggest thing was my own conviction. So I started drinking hydrogen water, and I was drinking it fresh from a water ionizer when I first started. And I didn't notice substantial benefits in my training. So in my training for football, so my weight training exercises and conditioning. And I noticed I started to recover, it almost reduced my recovery by 50%. It was pretty drastic at the beginning. And this is what led me, whether that was all the hydrogen or placebo or whatever, I know that I was like, okay, I'm getting some kind of effect. And so I ended up researching hydrogen water, or basically trying to figure out what the mechanism is that actually allows this water to work, if it is working. And so that was the driver. So my own experience was the actual driver. And then I like a problem, man. I mean, I was trying to figure it out, and I couldn't crack the code. And that's like a big deal for me. I want to figure things out. And that only fueled it until I actually found out what the therapeutic agent was. And after that, I just deep dived it until I got to the bottom of the ocean. And I figured out, man, this thing is remarkable for what we have right now. So I started teaching everyone about it. And so that's kind of give you a little bit more of an understanding of how I went from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3.
It's a similar story than Tyler LeBaron, who will be on our call here on Monday at 2:00. Similar story with him. He's like, okay, there's something else in this water because it's not the alkalinity of the water is creating any benefit. It's got to be something else. Right. He started digging into it. Same thing. He found, oh wow, it's this hydrogen, and then he got really excited about it, and boom, now he has the Molecular Hydrogen Institute, and so it's so cool.
Well, it's like I went to school for corporate fitness, and so I have a little bit of that anatomy and all that type of background too. And so it was like I was drinking this water, and then some of the stuff that the claims they were making about it, I was like, oh gosh, there's no way. I mean, water is amazing. We need water. But what you're talking about does not exist. And then I had this high level of skepticism. And then I started consuming it myself, and my skepticism didn't match up with what I was experiencing. And so that only led me to be more skeptical and to deep dive into it to get where I am today, and where I'm able to teach all kind of people around the world, and even been able to be on here with Amanda and be able to help other individuals around the world, and medical professionals, researchers, whatever. So
that's so cool. All right, let's see what else we have here. What is your favorite study? Yep.
What is my favorite study?
Yes. This is coming from Decaf.
Well, if my wife was here, she would say he has no favorites, because I really am terrible at picking favorites. I don't have probably a favorite, but one of my favorite ones that I would say would be, or one of the top ones would be a stroke, would be a clinical trial when it comes to the disease model of stroke. They showed in that clinical trial that hydrogen inhalation was able to outperform a approved medication for strokes. within a 2 weeks frame. So it's an awesome study. And I don't know if I have made a research update on it. Maybe I did. I don't think I have yet. So I need to make a research update on that study to unpack some of the details of it. But basically, it was a human clinical trial with a stroke model, and the patients actually had the patients that had hydrogen inhalation had better improvements than the people that actually had the approved medication for strokes.
Wow. And heart disease is the #1 killer in the US.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So
there, on cardiovascular health and hydrogen, do you know about how many studies there are out there in the marketplace?
I couldn't tell you the number of studies that there is on heart, but there's a large amount or a cumulative amount, a large amount that is out there. I actually have a video that kind of uncovers. I think I have like probably 25 or 30 different studies. It's in a video that we created on the top 10 causes of death listed by the CDC and how hydrogen can help them. And the first video is on heart disease. So, for example, let me pull this up real quick. So, for example, here, let me see. In that video, we break down like 10 different ways hydrogen can benefit the heart. So one is improving overall heart function, improving the function of heart ventricles, protecting the heart from heart attacks, reducing cardiac hypertrophy and fibrosis, improving arteriosclerosis, decreasing blood pressure, normalizing cholesterol, reducing blood sugar, protecting blood vessels, and maintaining their function for the heart, cardiovascular system, and the recovery from cardiac arrest. And so we go through and that covers about 30 different studies and unpack all those different points and actually show through the studies how hydrogen is actually doing that. And so it's pretty amazing. Now hydrogen's doing a whole lot that we don't know about, but they're actually, in that video, we unpack it. I think it's about a 20-minute video or so. So it's a little lengthier one, but it covers a lot of data.
Okay, well, just send me that link and I'll make sure to put it down below so everyone can go through that as well.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so we are running out of time. We're going to try to keep this under half an hour. So I just have one last question here.
Okay.
How many hydrogen sports bottles, the hydro shots, should they drink a day to get the full maximum benefits?
Okay, so right now, based on the scientific literature, what we can say is that the suggested dose of what is seen to be therapeutic within studies is 1 to 3 milligrams of hydrogen per day. And they are administering anywhere between 1 to about 15 milligrams of H2 per day via water. So via consuming water. And what we also see is there seems to be this dose-dependent response. So basically, there's a minimum dose that we need to be therapeutic to induce a therapeutic effect. And the greater the dose, the greater the effect. And so if you can get above 3 milligrams, you can get above 3 milligrams of H2 per day, that'd be pretty good. And so for the actual hydro shot itself, consuming if you do it on I think it's 10-minute cycle, you'll produce about a milligram of H2 will be dissolved into that actual designated volume size of about 7 ounces or 210 milliliters. So there'll be about a milligram of hydrogen dissolved into that. So if you drink 4 of those a day, you're going to get 4 milligrams of H2. You drink 5, you're going to get 5 milligrams of H2. So you can just count it up. However many you want is what you want. So I would say try to consume 1 liter of it. And so that'll be about 4.5 bottles. So you're going to get around about 4.5 milligrams of H2, which is great.
Awesome. And so I heard you say milligrams, parts per million, parts per billion. We'll get more into those details as the event draws nearer, and those that are coming will hear all the details and what's the difference and the right, amount to have each day. So that is awesome. Can you drink a gallon a day? Yeah, of course. As long as you don't drink too much water, you'll be just
yeah. Don't flush out all of your electrolytes.
Exactly. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Tywon. I'm excited about our event. So those of you that have not gotten your ticket yet, just go over to healthyhydration.com under events and make sure to get your ticket. There's only 100 or actually $249, and that includes Friday, my birthday. I'm turning 28 again, right? That's what I think I am. Anyways, 28 again. And then on Saturday and Sunday is the event. So we have our speakers. We have Bill Banta, who is a mindset coach who worked with Bob Proctor for many, many years. He was one of his lead coaches. We have Tywon, obviously. We have Dr. Tyler LeBaron, who you'll get to hear from on Monday here on this channel at 2 o'clock Pacific Standard. Then we have Bob Citronelli, who is an author, research scientist. He will be there as well. So it's going to be a really great show. We're excited for all of us that come, and we would love for you to come as well. We have got a bus in our area. So if you're in, Richland, Pasco, Kennewick, Seattle area, we have a bus that we're going to leave on Friday, and we'll all make it up there together. So if you're interested in any of that, just let us know. And otherwise, we'll see you all at the event. And for those of you that commented and we called on you, one of you are going to be our lucky winners I'll announce it tomorrow. I'll let all of you know tomorrow who that winner is.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks for having me on, Amanda.
You're welcome. Bye.
See you later, everyone.